They humiliated me at my sister's engagement until my imaginary fiancé arrived in a seaplane. But before I share my story, please take a minute of your precious time to support our channel. Your support and love keeps us going. So, where is this mysterious fiancé you keep hinting at? Or did you conjure him from thin air? My sister Noelle didn't bother lowering her voice. Half the guests at her engagement party turned toward me, pearls and cufflinks glittering under the late sun. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, but kept my grip steady on the flute of champagne. "He's running late from a site visit," I said. "He'll be here." My mother, Denise, let out a brittle laugh that sliced through the chatter. "A site visit on a Saturday? Baby, you don't have to keep up appearances. We all know there is no fiancé." My name is Zuri Jameson. I'm 31. In my family, I'm the one who colored outside the lines. While Noelle racked up accolades, from law review to her engagement to Brandon Reed, a venture strategist who talks in projections, my path led me elsewhere. I study freshwater ecosystems, mapping the health of river deltas and urban wetlands across the Great Lakes. It's not flashy, and it doesn't pay the kind of money that buys tables at charity balls, but the work matters. It's mine. We were in my parents' immaculate backyard in South Harbor, Michigan, the hedges cut straight as sermon lines, the crowd crisp in linen and smug summer smiles. I would have given anything to be ankle-deep in a muddy marsh holding a water sampler instead. Zuri has always been imaginative. My father, Harold, called from the grill where he was charming Brandon's father. Remember when she swore she'd heal the whole lake? Now she's inventing bows. A ripple of laughter spread. Some guests looked away, most didn't. Noelle raised her left hand so the oval diamond could catch the last light. 2 weeks earlier, she'd phoned to announce this party. In a moment of softness, I'd mentioned I was seeing someone. The family turned that into engagement headlines before I could correct them. By the time I tried, they'd already planned to make me the punchline at Noelle's celebration. "Tell us about him," Noelle pressed, eyes gleaming. "What does this phantom do? Where'd you meet?" The truth was layered. 3 months ago, on a restoration project along Lake Superior, I met Darius Holt, a quietly intense funder who backs community-led conservation. We talked late into the night about water justice and shoreline access, ate perch tacos from a pier shack, and watched storms push silver across the lake. When the fieldwork ended, he kissed my forehead, said he'd see me faster than the wind, and somehow kept that promise. We texted, video called between surveys, and he'd visited twice. We never said labels. We didn't have to. "He invests in renewal projects," I said carefully. "Freshwater, green corridors, that kind of work." "So he's unemployed," my mother sniffed. "That's not what I said." Brandon smirked. "Ah, a philanthropist of vibes. Very modern, Zuri." I felt the sting behind my eyes, refused to let it fall. This is why I'd stopped showing up for family things, holidays, birthdays, any occasion that turned into open season on my choices. "He's successful," I said. "Just private." "Because he's imaginary," Noelle sing-songed, and a few guests tittered. My phone buzzed. Darius, running behind, snagged in air traffic patterns. 20 minutes out. "Love you." Those last 2 words had started a week ago. They still felt like a small miracle. "Let me guess," my father said, seeing my screen. He canceled. "He's 20 minutes away," I said, voice low. "Sure he is," my mother replied, sharing a look with my Aunt Pauline, who'd flown in from New Crest, Georgia. "Zuri, it's okay to be single. You don't need to fabricate someone to justify your choices." "I'm not fabricating anything." "Then where's the ring?" Noelle demanded, snatching my left hand and flashing it like Exhibit A. "You let us believe you were engaged. There's no ring because there's no man." "I never said engaged. I managed." "You all assumed. Because you wanted us to." My mother cut in, voice smooth as poured syrup. "You thought we'd pity you less. And now we're embarrassed for you because you walked into your own story." The words landed like small stones to the ribs. Fairy lights strung between trees would be beautiful at dusk. Right now they felt like witnesses, waiting on a verdict. "I should go," I whispered. "No, stay," Noel said, sweet as saccharin. I'd love to meet him. Unless you're admitting he isn't real. I checked my phone again. 15 minutes. I could survive 15 more. He was real. He was coming. He would meet my impossible family, and then I'd be done. No more gatherings where love dressed itself up as ridicule. After today, this would be the last time. I'll wait, I said. My mother sighed theatrically. This is getting sad, Zuri. The party swelled back to life in pockets, but around me everything felt airless. Noelle drifted to a knot of admirers, parading venue photos. She still glanced over to make sure I was not only present, but suffering. My mother cornered me near the drinks. When you were little, I had such plans for you, she said, topping off her wine. So bright, so promising. And you went off to study ponds. I have a doctorate in environmental science, Mom. A doctorate that pays what? 50-something if you're lucky. She shook her head. Meanwhile, your sister's bringing in real money and marrying a man who brings in more. She's building. You're floating. Floating. The irony wasn't lost on me. I let it pass. I like my work, I said. That's what people say when everything else fails. I drifted to the yard's edge where the trimmed boxwoods broke into a view of the inlet. This house had never felt like home. Noelle was always the golden one, the story we presented at holidays. I was the girl who brought in injured robins and put field guides on the dinner table.
My phone buzzed again.
10 minutes out.
Can't wait to see you.
Warning, my family is a lot, I typed. I'm sorry in advance. I can handle a lot.
See you soon, he replied.
Aunt Pauline materialized, perfume first. Your mother told me about the imaginary boyfriend, she said, eyes sweeping my borrowed dress. Even for you, that's a touch pitiful. He's not imaginary. Then he's rude, she said. An hour late to a Reed family event? Please. Explaining traffic paths or last-minute site checks would be wasted oxygen. Their minds had been made years ago. My father arrived with Brandon in tow. Everything all right here? Just chatting about Zuri's make-believe, Pauline said, smiling. Come on, Brandon chuckled. You can say it. There's no guy. Some folks just aren't built for long-term. I clenched my jaw. Brandon had always treated me like a kid, though he's only 2 years older than me. He was the kind of man my family admired, affluence first, empathy optional. He's on his way, I said again. Look, my father said, tone softening. We're not trying to be cruel. You've always been different. You don't need stories to fit in. Different. The word that trailed me for decades. Different because I preferred field notes to small talk, because I chose streams over courtrooms, because I cared about impact more than optics. I'm not making anything up, I said. Noelle reappeared, sympathy plastered on like foundation. Zuri, you wanted today to be a little about you too, and I get that. But this is getting embarrassing. Just admit there's no fiancé, so we can move on. Why do you care? I snapped, startling myself. Why does my dating life matter to you? Because you're humiliating yourself, she hissed. And us by extension. Do you know how many people have asked why my sister is lying? I looked at her, perfect, polished, and realized what tugged beneath her words. Not jealousy of what I had. Fear that I'd found something she hadn't. A connection that wasn't transactional. 5 minutes, I said, checking my phone. Then you can all apologize. My mother laughed. You're really married to the bit, huh? What happens when 5 pass and no one shows? My phone lit again. Arriving now. Where can I set down? Set down. My stomach did a flip. He couldn't mean. Before I could answer, a new sound cut through the clink of glassware. A low hum, then a rising buzz, the unmistakable approach of a seaplane. Conversations froze. Heads tilted skyward. My mother went pale. Is that? It's probably headed to the marina, my father said, but his voice wobbled. The plane slipped into view over the trees, sleek and slate blue, skimming lower toward the inlet at the back of the property. Guests scrambled as napkins fluttered, centerpieces toppled, and Noelle shrieked about her arrangements. The floats kissed the water in a clean, practiced glide, sending ripples toward the reeds. Through the cockpit glass, I saw Darius's familiar silhouette. "He's here," I said, and for the first time all afternoon I smiled. The seaplane drifted to a hush atop the inlet, then coasted toward the small wooden dock beyond my parents' lawn. A breeze came off the water, lifting place cards and the edges of linen as if the afternoon itself had taken a breath. The cockpit door opened. Darius Holt stepped out, dark slacks, sleeves rolled, a wind-tossed curl at his temple, steady as shoreline rock. He waved to the crowd like he'd landed at the most ordinary address in the Midwest, then hopped onto the dock and walked the narrow path toward the party with an easy, unhurried confidence. Behind him, the pilot, Mr. Coltrane, a broad-shouldered elder with silver at his temples, secured the plane. A second passenger, a woman in sharp navy separates, followed with packages stacked in her arms. "Zuri," Darius called when he spotted me, his face breaking open with relief. He set a tall gift box on the grass and drew me in, kissing me like we'd been separated by seasons, not hours. The world quieted to the sound of gulls and my heartbeat. "Sorry I'm late," he murmured. Air patterns over the lake were stubborn. "Nothing was keeping me from you. You came in a seaplane," I said, breathless and laughing. "Practice what you fund," he grinned. "Low-impact hops between sites. A friend owed me a favor for a shoreline grant. We took a slot." He turned to face my family with his arms still around me. "I'm Darius. It's a joy to meet Zuri's people." My mother's smile fought with her shock and lost. My father looked like he'd bitten a lemon. Noel's composure fractured at the edges, and Brandon swallowed hard, the smirk gone. "You're real," my mother managed. "Very," Darius said lightly. "And very lucky to be here." The woman from the plane stepped forward. "I'm Tanisha," she said. "I work with Darius. Where should I place these?" "For the couple," Darius told Noel and Brandon, gesturing to the boxes. "A few things we thought would suit your home." There were 5 parcels, wrapped in textured, sea glass paper. Noel opened the first with shaking hands, a hand-blown Detroit glass vase, ripples caught in the curve like frozen water. The second, forged bronze candlesticks by a black metalsmith from Milwaukee, initials stamped at the base. The third, a dinner experience, chef's counter for 4 at Mary Ann's on Maple, the reservation card embossed with a tiny reed bed icon. The fourth, a framed, vintage nautical chart of South Harbor printed on cotton rag, marked with the family pier in gold leaf. The fifth, a slim envelope. Brandon slid out the card, blinked, then looked up. "This a joke? It's a $42,500 contribution to your venue and community arts fund," Darius said easily. "In your names. Zuri mentioned you're planning something with live jazz. Consider it seed money, with one request. Match at least 1/10 to the South Harbor Youth Rowing Program. A party should lift more boats than the ones in these slips." A rustle moved through the guests. Numbers have a way of silencing rooms. Aunt Pauline stepped closer, curiosity edging out condescension. "And you do what exactly, young man?" "I run a private freshwater renewal collective," he said. "We back neighborhoods reclaiming shorelines, fix failing culverts, fund youth science, and partner with tribes and towns on flood resilience." That's how Zuri and I met. Her work decoded half a river's mood swings in a week. My mother's eyes flicked to me, recalibrating. "Consulting with you?" "Her models," Darius said, and the warmth in his voice brimmed over. "Saved us a season and a half. She doesn't do showy, but the science is spine." Silence held for a beat. Then he turned back to me, his expression shifting, sudden and certain. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, moss-colored velvet box. Time thinned. "I know we talked about waiting," he said, not raising his voice but somehow carrying to the far tables, "but I'm not built to pretend I don't already know. Zuri Jameson, will you marry me, truly marry me, and let me spend every ordinary morning and storm-warning evening choosing you?" He opened the box. Nestled inside, an oval green tourmaline, deep as marsh grass after rain, ringed with tiny recycled diamonds set in matte platinum. The stone drank the light and gave it back softened, like river sun filtered through willows. Tears blurred the world. You know my answer, I whispered. Say it, he smiled. Yes, I said, the word steady as bedrock. Yes. He slid the ring on. It fit as if the metal had learned my hand. Later he'd admit he'd guessed my size from the nitrile gloves I favored in the lab and confirmed with Tanisha, who measured one pair I left at his place. Gasps, then a scatter of applause, uneven, unsure, but real. Darius kissed me, longer this time, and the sound that rose around us was something I'd never heard in that yard, people rooting for me. When we turned back, Noelle stared at the envelope as if numbers might jump. Brandon's gaze had snagged on the chart. My father's jaw had reset. My mother's posture had softened by a thread. I understand there were doubts, Darius said pleasantly.
Fair.
I'm private by design. But I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere she isn't. My mother opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. We did not handle ourselves well. It's Zuri you owe that to, Darius replied gently. I'm a footnote in her story. She's the line. I found my voice. We're going to head out. Noelle, your venue is beautiful. Congratulations. I hope your day sings. Wait, Noelle blurted, the diamond trembling. About this, are you serious? 42.5. Already wired, Tanisha said, checking her watch. To the venue account your planner provided the family. We included the youth rowing pledge. From the dock, Mr. Coltrane lifted a hand. Winds'll turn in 20, he called. Best make your goodbyes, baby girl. Coming, Darius answered, then offered his hand to my father. Mr. Jameson. Harold looked at the hand like it might bite, then shook it. Son. To my mother. Darius inclined his head. Ms. Denise. She pressed her lips together. Bring her back in one piece. I only loaned her to the world, he said, a flash of mischief warming the words. I plan to return her better than I found her. We walked toward the dock. Behind us, conversations broke loose, the kind that remake a family story in whispers. In the reflection of the inlet, I saw the yard shrink to a watercolor. The plane rocked gently against the pilings. You good? Darius asked as he helped me up. I'm more than good, I said, the tourmaline flashing at the edge of my vision like a promise. As the float skimmed free and the prop carved a bright path across the inlet, I looked down once more. Noelle clutched that envelope as if it contained a map. My parents stood shoulder to shoulder, for once not performing for a crowd. Phones were out, of course, but for the first time in my life, I didn't care what caption they chose. We lifted from the water smooth as a held breath, the yard falling away, the inlet opening to the lake. Mr. Coltrane tipped his chin toward the horizon. Where to? Downtown pad, Darius said, fastening my belt. Top deck. He laced his fingers with mine. The tourmaline winked as the city gathered in the distance, roofs like scattered stones, the river cutting clean through the middle, a bright, stubborn vein. The seaplane skimmed across the river until it docked near a rooftop landing pad downtown. The pilot gave a brief nod, and Darius helped me step onto the deck. Above us, the city stretched out in blocks of light and steel. Below, a quiet hum of traffic, far away from the judgment we'd left behind. We checked into a glass-walled suite overlooking the harbor. Everything inside was modern and soft, slate sofas, a bed with white linen sharp as paper. As soon as the door clicked shut, Darius wrapped me in his arms. How are you really doing? He asked. And I broke. The tears came, not the happy kind from before, but the weight I'd been carrying for years. Every dismissal, every side glance, every dinner where I was told my work wasn't enough, it spilled out. I hate they make you feel like this, Darius said, holding me until the storm calmed. I hate they can't see you. I wiped my face. They've always been like this. I thought I'd stopped caring. But when they laughed about you, when they said, I made you up. Hey, he said, brushing my cheek. You didn't make me up. I'm right here. And if it takes gifts, checks, or planes to make them listen, so be it. But you deserve respect without theatrics. We ate in silence for a while, takeout spread across the suite's low table. I couldn't stop staring at the ring. The tourmaline glowed like bottled sunlight. Did you really give them over 40 grand just to prove a point? I asked finally. No, he said simply. I gave it because I'm investing in the people attached to you. If that means they think twice next time before tearing you down, then it's worth every cent. His words steadied me, but the phone on the table wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts, missed calls, voicemails, most from my mother. Against my better judgment, I opened one voicemail. Zuri, call me back right now. We looked him up. Nothing online. No company sites, no press, nothing. Either he's hiding something or he's scamming you. Don't embarrass this family further. My hands shook. Doubt, sharp and sudden, crept in. She thinks you're lying, I whispered. Darius was quiet for a long beat. Finally, he said, she's not wrong to think it's strange. I don't leave trails. I learned that the hard way. Years ago, I was too loud about shutting down an illegal dredging project in Asia. Our station burned. 3 staff were injured. I promised myself I'd work quieter, protect people first. So yes, there's no glossy site, no Twitter feed. But the work is real. And so am I. He took my hand, anchoring me with the steadiness of his gaze. If you ever need proof, I'll give it. Deeds, bank statements, contacts. But I don't want you to believe me because of paper. I want you to believe me because of us. I do, I said, though my voice was small. Then we'll face them. Tonight. Clear this fog before it festers. I hesitated. You want to face my family again? After what they did? They didn't hurt me, he said. They hurt you. But if answering their questions lets you sleep easier, then yes. I'll face them. Minutes later, I called my mother back. She picked up instantly. We're at your apartment. You need to bring him here.
Now.
I closed my eyes.
No.
If you want to talk, meet us at the Riverside Cafe in 30 minutes. Neutral ground. She bristled. This is family business. Those are my terms. I cut in, surprising myself with the strength in my voice. Take it or leave it. She was silent then. Fine. 30 minutes. When the line went dead, I sank into the sofa. They're not going to stop until they tear you apart, I whispered. Then let them try, Darius said, tugging me up. We'll give them facts. We'll give them truth. And when the dust clears, what'll be left is us. We changed quickly, me into a navy dress, him into a crisp shirt. As the elevator descended toward the street, I realized something. For the first time in years, I wasn't dreading confrontation. I was walking into it with someone beside me, and that made all the difference. The cafe lights glowed warm as we arrived, our table by the windows overlooking the dark water. My family entered exactly on time. My mother stiff, my father unreadable, Noelle simmering, Brandon looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. They sat without greeting us. So, my mother began, eyes sharp. Are you going to explain yourself, or are we supposed to accept that my daughter is suddenly engaged to a stranger? I breathed deep. We met 3 months ago. We've been building since then. Tonight he proposed. I said yes. That's the story. 3 months. Noelle scoffed. That's reckless. You got engaged to Brandon after 6. I shot back. That's different, she snapped. Why? Darius asked smoothly. Because your families already knew each other? Because I don't show up in your circle's Google search? My father leaned forward. What exactly do you do, son? Where's your office? Who signs your checks? I run a private collective. No flashy logo, no office tower. I operate from the projects themselves. I also hold real estate and energy investments that fund the work. No proof online, my mother pressed. Because I learned visibility isn't safety, but I'll give you proof in a language you trust. He pulled out his phone, typed quickly, and a moment later my father's device buzzed with an email. There. Property deeds, bank statements, direct contacts at universities and government offices. Call them tonight if you like. Brandon sneered. All of this could be fabricated. Then verify it, Darius said evenly. I'll wait. The table fell into silence as my father scrolled, his expression shifting. Finally, he rose, phone to his ear, pacing toward the cafe doors. Darius leaned back, eyes still on my mother and Noelle. Let me say this plain. Zuri didn't settle for me. I'm the one who struck gold. She's brilliant, relentless, and her work saves waters your grandchildren will one day drink from. If you can't see that, then you've been looking with the wrong eyes. The words hung in the air, and for once, no one had a quick retort. My father returned to the table, phone still in his hand. His expression had shifted. Gone was the skepticism, replaced with something harder to read. I just spoke with the director at the University of Lakeshore, he said slowly. He confirmed everything, said their conservation program would have folded years ago, without your funding. Called you a cornerstone of their field. Silence blanketed the table. Noelle's jaw twitched, her fingers tightening on her glass. Brandon leaned back, clearly recalibrating. That's one person, Noelle muttered. It doesn't prove. Stop, my father interrupted, more sharply than I'd ever heard him speak to her. I don't need to call the rest. The statements alone, he trailed off, looking at me in a way that sent a chill down my spine. Zuri, why didn't you tell us? Because you never asked, I said simply. You've never asked about my work, or what it means, or who I meet in the field. You assumed my life was lacking because it didn't look like the life you wanted for me. We just wanted you to be happy, my mother whispered. I am happy, I said. But not because of you. Because I built something that matters. The words stung her, I could tell. But for once, I didn't soften them. Darius's voice cut through. Forgive me, but I need to say this. Zuri's work is monumental. She's modeling entire watersheds, saving species from collapse, building solutions people will rely on decades from now. And all day, I've listened to you mock her, dismiss her, even accuse her of making me up. He leaned forward slightly, his voice calm but carrying weight. You don't just owe her an apology for today. You owe her one for years of belittling her. The air thickened. All eyes shifted to me. I felt my throat tighten, the old reflex to let it go, make peace. But Darius's hand brushed mine under the table, grounding me. I'm not going to tell you it's fine, I said, my voice trembling but steady. It's not. What happened today wasn't fine, and neither was what's been happening for years. You've made me feel like a mistake, because I wasn't Noelle. You mocked my choices, mocked the work I gave my life to. And tonight you tried to break me in front of strangers. An apology doesn't erase that. My mother's eyes watered. What can we do? She asked, voice cracked. I don't know, I said honestly. But if you want to try, start by respecting me. Acknowledge my work. Treat Darius like he belongs. And maybe, just maybe, I'll start trusting you again. But I need space. I can't keep bleeding for your approval. Noelle's eyes brimmed, her voice small. I should have defended you today. Instead, I laughed along. I was jealous. Not of what you have, but of the courage to live your own way. I've spent my whole life chasing what Mom and Dad wanted. You didn't. And I resented you for it. I blinked, startled by the raw honesty. Slowly, I reached for her hand and squeezed. Thank you for saying that. She swallowed, then added, if you want to bring him to the wedding, I'd like that. I glanced at Darius. He gave the faintest nod. We'll see, I said. When we rose to leave, my father stood too and, without warning, pulled me into a hug. I'm proud of you, he whispered into my hair. I should have said that years ago. Proud of your work. Proud of who you've chosen. Proud of you. The words cracked something in me that had been hardened for decades. For the first time in years, I hugged him back. As we walked out into the cool river air, Darius slipped his arm around my waist. My chest felt lighter, though my heart still carried the bruises of the day. You okay? He asked. I don't know, I admitted. But I think for the first time they actually saw me. He kissed the side of my head. They'll keep seeing you. Because I'm not letting them forget. The city lights scattered across the river like shards of glass. For once, they didn't make me feel small. They made me feel infinite. 2 weeks later, I woke in my tiny apartment with sunlight spilling through the blinds and Darius breathing evenly beside me. For 14 days, we'd been living in a quiet bubble, coffee in the mornings, shared dinners at night, laughter echoing off walls that once held only silence. That morning, my phone buzzed with a text from Noelle. "Family dinner tonight. Please come. It's important." A heart emoji trailed at the end, something she'd never sent me before. "Do you want to go?" Darius asked, hair rumpled, voice still rough from sleep. "Not really," I admitted. "But if we're going to see if they're serious about change, I guess we should." So we went. The dining room I'd dreaded since childhood was set for 6. My mother greeted me with a hug, not stiff or staged, but real. My father opened a bottle of wine, hands slightly trembling. Noelle and Brandon sat already, their faces tight with nerves. "What's going on?" I asked as we took our seats. My father cleared his throat. "After the party, we did some thinking. About you. About us." He exchanged a look with my mother. "We've been unfair, and we want to make amends. We've started a fund," my mother said, her eyes glistening, "for freshwater restoration research. In your name. It's only $37,000 to start, but it's yours. To support the work you've been doing all along." The words stunned me. My chest tightened. For years, they dismissed my field as play. Now they wanted to anchor it in their legacy. "And I want to apologize," Noelle added softly. "You were right. I should have defended you. I let jealousy eat at me. I thought being the golden child meant I was winning, but you were the brave one, Zuri. You lived on your terms. I didn't." My throat ached as tears stung my eyes. "I don't know what to say," I whispered. "Just let us try," my father said. Dinner that night was different. They asked about my research, listened when I spoke, even laughed at Darius's stories about community projects. For once, it felt like a family dinner instead of a courtroom. Before we left, Noelle caught my hand. "My firm works in environmental law. We want to help your collective with pro bono support. Contracts, protections, whatever you need." I squeezed her hand back. "Thank you. That would mean everything." Days later, my phone rang at dawn. It was Dr. Shepard, a senior researcher I'd collaborated with. "Zuri," he said, his voice bright. "Your Delta restoration project? The survival rate came back at 94%. It's unheard of. We're publishing, and we want you as lead author. This is going to reshape the field." I nearly dropped the phone. Lead author. Recognition I'd never dared to dream of. When I told Darius, he pulled me into his arms, laughing into my hair. "I told you. You're extraordinary." But with that joy came a choice. Shepard wanted me to apply for a new conservation chair at Lakeshore University, a permanent post in the city. Staying put, when Darius's work often pulled him across continents. He didn't flinch. "Then we'll base ourselves here," he said. "I've been drifting for years. Now I have a reason to stay. You." Months later, I stood barefoot on a Caribbean beach, waves kissing the sand at my ankles. My father walked me down a makeshift aisle. Noelle stood at my side as maid of honor, tears streaking her face. Darius slipped a second band onto my finger, tourmaline set with smaller stones the color of the sea behind us. Around us, only the people who mattered most. Family who'd learned to see me. Colleagues who'd believed from the start. As we said our vows, I thought of that night at Noelle's engagement party. The humiliation, the laughter, the certainty I was alone. And I thought of the moment a seaplane descended from the sky and changed everything. Not because Darius saved me, but because he reminded me I was already enough. That was the sweetest revenge. Not anger, not proving them wrong, but living well. Building a life so full of love, purpose, and brilliance that their early doubts became irrelevant. When he kissed me, the waves cheered with the crowd. And for the first time, I felt not just seen, I felt unstoppable. And that's how Zuri turned humiliation into triumph, choosing love, purpose, and a life defined on her own terms. What her family once called failure became the very thing they grew to admire. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't anger, it's thriving in the life they said you couldn't have. If this story moved you, Don't just scroll away. Hit subscribe, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that they are enough. More stories of strength, revenge, and empowerment are coming. Stay tuned.